Hey, how's it going? This is Captain Dan Wynn. I'm your Brigade Budget Officer. Today I'm going to be covering how to create your budget. All right, quick disclaimer, I am not a licensed financial advisor. All the things that I'm going to be covering in this video are things that I have learned out of other personal finance classes that I'd like to share with you so that hopefully you can take control of your own personal finances. So why is it important that you learn how to create and manage your own budget? It's important because this is the foundation to financial literacy, right? This is step one to taking control of your finances, understanding how to track your spending, understanding how to build a budget and then execute the plan that you've made for that budget, right? So just like in the military, we make plans all the time. We execute missions all the time. So let's just use a range, for example, right? Even at the squad leader level, right, you have some level of involvement, some level of planning that you need to make and execute with your team or with your squad in order to make sure you meet that mission. That same concept is something that you can apply to your personal life and your personal finances. Another reason why this is important is because it makes you better prepared. It makes you better prepared as a soldier. Makes you better prepared as a leader. It makes you better prepared to take care of your family. Makes you better prepared as far as your relationships are concerned in general, your marriage. Most marriages end because of something dealing with money, right? So again, it just makes you all around better prepared for life, really, not just life in the military, but life when you get out of the military as well. If you can't manage your finances, then you're going to have a very, very tough time getting through life. So how to create a budget? Creating a budget is easy, but it takes discipline to make sure that you manage it correctly and that you execute the plan that you made. So in order to make that plan, i.e. the budget, the easiest way to do it is just by writing out your expenses, your forecasted expenses, things that you know you're going to spend on within that pay period, and then subtracting that from the income that you know you're going to receive on the 1st or the 15th. Luckily in the military, we can pretty much forecast exactly how much we're going to be receiving on the 1st and how much we're going to be receiving on the 15th, and then we should know what our expenses are going to be, and we can subtract the difference, and you can kind of get the total amount there. Now that's a super simple form. That's a super simple way to do this, to build your plan and execute it. However, if you want to get a little bit more deliberate with it, there are a lot of tools out there that you can use that can help you along. Now, I'm going to go over a few of the paid tools first, like mint.com and YNAB. It's called youneedabudget.com. And these are subscription-based platforms, and they run you anywhere between, I don't know, like $12 and $20 a month, typically, right? So that's about how much they are. Also, I'm going to give you a free tool, right? So if you don't want to use those systems and you don't want to pay any money, you can use this free tool, one that I've actually developed, and that link will be down in the video, in the video notes. So you just click below the video and you'll see that in the video notes. I'll show you that here in a second, but I'm going to go over a sample budget using one of the tools that I've created and I've been using for the last 10 years, that me and my wife have been using for the last 10 years to track our spending, right? So let's go ahead and get into that. All right, so let's get into this So what you see here is an Excel doc that my wife and I made over 10 years ago, and we continue to use it because it's fully customizable and we're used to it, right? And this was made prior to a lot of the budgeting apps that are out right now. So this is before Mint, this was before YNAB, this is before a few other of the things that you'll find out right now. So you can feel free to use those services. Just remember, those are monthly subscriptions that you'll end up paying for, but they probably have they're probably a lot more robust than this simple Excel doc, right? So using this Excel doc, using the scenario, we have Specialist Snuffy, and he's married, and he has one child. They're living off post, right? So we have a couple things to note on this Excel doc before we begin. Is things that are highlighted are things that you do not change. There's formulas in them, so as you make changes to things that are in white, you can change anything in white in the text or the numbers. As you make changes to them, $400, right, you'll notice that there's automatic changes here, right? There's automatic changes in different places, right? Automatic changes. All right. So another quick thing to note is when you enter in income, you leave them as positives, and when you enter expenses, you leave them as negatives, right? So how do you put a negative in here? So let's say we got Hulu and we're saying it's $20 a month, negative 19.99, right? So you put negative in front of whatever number you want, and then it'll update that way. And you saw there was an automatic change here to the ending balance and a change to the expense total as well. So let's go and delete that because that's not here. All right, there we go. So there's some quick notes. All right, so we got our income. As I told you, Specialist Snuffy makes about $1,100 a pay period. That's another thing to note. This is a pay period. This is on the 1st, and then we got on the 15th. You make a new tab for the new pay period, right? And I'll show you how to do that as we continue through the video. All right, so Specialist Snuffy makes $1,100 a pay period on a bi-weekly basis, right, on the 1st, and his spouse brings in $450, right? And the total income's here. You'll notice one thing that I have half month's rent or mortgage, and this is one thing that my wife and I have used for a while, and I've seen, I got it out of some course or some book, I don't remember, but it basically lessens the blow, right? For instead of paying $900 up front in this scenario, you can split that up between $450 a month, because you only get a set amount of money every single pay period, right? So an easier way to take that cost is by splitting it in half. Now, one thing you'll notice here is there's a lot of auto pays and a lot of due dates on the side, right? The reason we have that set up is because we have separate accounts. So here, all the income, the way we have account set up, all of our income goes into a joint checking account, and then we have other accounts set up with who we bank with that are specific for mortgage, or specific for our own miscellaneous spending allowances, right? This way we don't go over, or we don't cut into any other cost that we have coming up, right? So in this situation, quick example, on the 1st, there'll be $450. So our rent is due on the 1st of every single month, right? So December the 1st, we put $450 in. December the 15th, we put $450 in. That means there's $900 sitting in the account for January the 1st's rent. All right, so that's quick explanation. That's an easy way to do this, right? So got $450 coming out. We got $130 bi-weekly for groceries, and you can see the rest of the expenses here. One quick note is that there's a formula here as well. I didn't highlight this because you can change this and edit this however you want to. Easy way to make this formula. This is just saying that 5% of C11 is going to be this total, right? So 5%, basically your general savings, you're taking 5% of your general savings and you're putting it into a different account, right? So you're accounting for that. All right. So easy way to make a change to a formula. Let's just do it real quick. So if you want to, let's say you want to do 10%, you would just do equal sign. That tells Excel you want to do something. Let's say you want to do 7%. You do equal this times this times. Remember, you got to put the negative 0.07, which is 7%, right? And that's going to give you 7% of this amount. But we change it to 5. So let's take that back to 5 for this scenario. All right, got it. So we're taking out 5% for general savings. Got some money set aside for the kids. We got our car insurance, cell phone bill, all these other bills down here. One other thing, quick thing to note is our debit account reserve. So in our joint checking account, one thing, I'm sure you've probably done this before. You signed up for a subscription or signed up for some free thing. Let's say Mint.com, for example. Mint.com is free for 30 days. You signed up for it, you've been using it, and you forgot to cancel it after that 30th day. Now they hit you with a $12 fee, right? And you weren't expecting that, and you didn't budget for that. Well, that's what this $30 in the reserve is for, right? And that's what that's there to catch. Every now and again it happens. It happens to the best of us, so don't worry about it too much. But that's caught for you. What you'll see here, what you notice is that we have a balance. That's kind of what we want while we're doing this. The whole name of this game is that we want to sit down and do our budget prior to us actually spending the money. So a few days before December the 1st, I want to sit down with my spouse, and we want to sit down. We open up this Excel sheet and we look at our LES. I look at my LES. I input the numbers here. We have a conversation about how we want to actually allocate these funds so that we're both on the same page, and we're making sure our money is right. Right. So as you guys know, like I said, I think I said it before, most marriages end because of financial issues. Either people aren't talking about money together, or they're just not doing the right thing. Not on purpose. They're just, not budgeting. They just don't have a plan. Right. So this is an easy way to make the plan. So sit down with your significant other and make sure that you are creating your budget. If it's just you, sit down and spend your money on Excel, or spend your money somewhere before you actually spend your money in real life, right? So we spend our money here on Excel. That way we can track it, make sure it's right before we actually go spend it out there. And this way we know exactly where our money's going and exactly how we can spend it. All right. So we have a balance here, $27 balance, right? So now we can make a choice. We can choose to do whatever we want with it, right? So we can put some extra money in our kids' savings, put some money in our regular savings. We can pay down our car note, put $27 towards the principal of our car note. Maybe put some money down toward the principal of our credit cards, right? However you want to spend that. Maybe you want to add that to your family activity spending, right? And you guys want to splurge and go out to, I don't know, the Four Seasons or something, right? So you have options there. All right, so moving over to the right, going over the debt balance, right? So these here, I just put these here, I kind of left that in there on accident. Let me just delete that real quick. All right, so this here, Specialist Snuffy has a credit card, but his credit card isn't due until the 18th, so he's not paying it in this pay period. Remember, it's on the 1st. So Specialist Snuffy has $3,000 credit card balance, but let's say he wants to take that $27 and pay down some of the principal of his credit card, $27.50. Boom, put the negative in front of it. And now we have a zero balance down here. And now you'll notice that there's a $3,000 debt balance. This is where you started at, right? This is beginning balance. And this is the ending balance. So this is how much you paid off, $27.50, which is what we put right there. And then it gives us our ending balance, $27.50, $27.50 less than what we began with, right? So just an example of how these formulas are input. Now, another quick thing to note about the credit card balances and what you're entering in here. This formula does not account for interest rates, right? So it doesn't have an amortization schedule on it. So you will have to. The ending balance that it's giving you right now is a snapshot in time, right? So every single time you go and every single time you create a new page, a new pay period, you're going to have to go back and look at your credit cards and update these numbers at the beginning balance, right? Because this does not account for your interest rate. Okay, so that's another quick thing to note. All right, now with that said, to give you your snapshot in time, like I said, scroll on over to the right and you'll see your credit summary. All right, so Specialist Snuffy, he has a Visa card, 9.5% interest, $5,000 credit limit. His credit balance is $2,972, right? So his credit usage percentage is 59%, right? There's a video that I'm gonna tag. I'm gonna show you that I put out there for you guys in Credit Hacks. Is an interview that we did with a credit professional that talks about a lot of things about your credit basically and how to improve it. And bottom line is you want to keep this under 25%, right? So right now we're at 59%, which is not that great, but we're going to work towards cutting that down. All right, so that's easy. That's a quick overview of this, and it was kind of long-winded, but creating your next slide, right? You notice we got first 15th, 24th. If you notice the 24th, we don't have anything. We're not paying that because it's not due in this pay period. All right. The Hulu's on the 20th. It's not in this pay period, so we're not paying it. Visa cards not in this pay period, so there's no real allocation amount. There's no real anything that's mandated that we pay anything there, right? So we just put that out of there at the ending balance. So what you do if you want to create a new deck is you just right click this and click duplicate, right? And I've already done it. You right click duplicate, and then you can change the date in here. All right, change that to the 15th. Boom, there you go. And you can change the title down here if you want to. You can rename it however you want to. So 1st and 15th, right? So now on the 15th, same thing. We know how much money we're making. Now things have changed. We got the 1st and 15th on there. Nothing's changed. The auto pay, well, this is going to be auto paid on the 1st and 15th. General savings, children's savings, car loan comes out on the 24th. All right. Hulu comes out on the 20th. All right. And then Joe Snuffy, his stuff comes out. His credit card comes out on the 18th. All right. So that's that. And you'll see here he's got an ending balance of $102. Right. Delete this one as well. All right. So you got an ending balance of $102. So he can take that and put that wherever he wants to. All right. So let's take this, and again, let's say we want to put some more money on our credit card. So we change this $100 to $202. And remember how I said we got to change the ending balance here because it doesn't automatically change for us. Right. So we take the ending balance of this, control copy, put it in the beginning balance of that. All right. It's a 2972.50. Changes to 2972.50. All right. So it's the ending balance, and now we want to add an additional $100 to pay down some of our credit card debt. So these two together would be negative 202.51. There we go. All right, so we paid $200 towards it. All right. And everything else is pretty much the same. I think everything else is pretty self-explanatory. So that's a quick rundown of this Excel doc and how you can use it and how you can make changes to it and things like that. So I hope this helped. So go ahead and go forth and make sure you sit down with your significant other, or you at least sit down by yourself and make sure you do your budget. Spend your money here prior to spending your money out in real life, right? To make sure you can allocate those funds appropriately. All right, lastly, one really cool thing about tracking your budget and managing your budget is that you can see what you used to do, where you started from. If this is your first time starting your budget, you can track this, and if you continually track this for years, then you can go back and look at what was important to you, how you were spending your money, and where your finances were allocated then versus where they are at a future period in time. And it's really, really interesting to see, like I said, my wife and I have been doing this for 10 years, and it's interesting to see where we were spending money and how we were spending money at the age of 22 versus the age of 32 now. And so it's really interesting. It's something that you can use, you can track for years, and see where you were and where you are now. If you have kids, it could be a learning tool that you use for your kids to show them, hey, this is where we started at, and this is where we are now, and this is kind of how that progression has taken place. All right, so let me go ahead and get into some of these military life hacks that I talked about earlier. So my partner and I, Mike Glaspie, he's a former SF weapons sergeant. He just got out, and him and I created this education platform called Military Cashflow. And what we do is we help other service members build wealth and create cash flow. We mainly talk real estate, but we talk about all types of passive income, basically. All right, and we have service members come on and they share their stories. Service members, most of them are involved in real estate, but they come on, they share their stories on how they've built multi-million dollar portfolios, and they show how they're building these larger businesses and basically their life after the military. And some of them, they're doing these things while they're actually in the military. So what we do is we bring on guests and we allow them to tell their stories, these other service members, and allow them to tell their stories so that hopefully it can inspire you to do the same thing. And like I said, before we get there, we got to start at this foundational level, which is managing our budget. If you can't manage hundreds, you can't manage thousands. If you can't manage thousands, you can't manage millions, right? So it is what it is. So we bring on service members and we help, we tell their stories, and then we also share our own stories in the process, right? So if you go to Military Cashflow on YouTube, you'll see the banner there. You can scroll down and you'll see created playlists down here, right? So I created a military life hacks playlist that I think that all soldiers should probably at least listen to once. And what it, clicked the wrong thing. All right. Listen to once. There's a lot of great information here. So we cover things that aren't covered in the traditional education system, i.e. Learning how to build, how to create wealth through passive income, right? And we teach small financial things like financial literacy, what your freedom number is, how to be more organized, things like that, things that you typically won't get in the traditional setting, and we don't really teach much in the military either. So feel free to go and check out this channel. It's all free. It doesn't cost you anything. There's several videos on here: house hacking, how to live rent free, why financial literacy is so important, how to use your VA loan to invest in real estate, how to be more organized, taxes, credit score, how not to use your VA loan. We have all these guys, everybody that we bring on the show are literally professionals, and they actually are doing what they're talking about. So it's really interesting stuff. Feel free to check it out, watch the videos. If you find value in them, feel free to share with others. So the whole goal is to put out this knowledge, especially to our other service members out there, so that we can all build wealth and grow cash flow together. All right, and with that said, those are my military life hacks. This is Captain Dan Wynn, your brigade budget officer, signing off.